Hello, I'm Blake Scarlevi with Route 16, and I've got another quick pro tip for you. We're actually going to revisit an old pro tip because Microsoft has made some significant updates to the feature. So if you've been following along with the series, and I apologize because I've taken a little bit of a hiatus, but I plan on doing a lot more pro tips here in the future and more frequent. But if you followed along, you might remember quick pro tip number 7, where we used Copilot to build your apps. So here we could see you entered in some command, like I want an app that tracks RSVPs. No matter what you put in, it would always just give you a single table, and it would build an app interface on that single table. It's a really good start, especially for being super early with this feature. It's always been in like preview. So it's just something to get our hands on and to give Microsoft feedback. But as you know, there's a lot of more complex scenarios where just a single table is not going to cut it, right? And so that's some of the changes they have made. It's still in preview, but it's really fun and to get our hands on and play around with. So we have a few prerequisites here. So if you're an admin, you might be able to do this in your tenant, but otherwise you might have to reach out to one of your system administrators. Basically, we need to go to the Power Platform Admin Center and go into the tenant settings. So the settings icon here on the left. And then we want to make sure this Copilot and Power Apps preview is toggled on. And then also, you'll probably want to go to your specific environment that you're trying to do this and just make sure you're on the latest. So this section here, you want to enable release wave 1, make sure that's turned on. If it was off, it might take some time to actually update. But if it was already on, you should be good to go. And then lastly, we want to go to the make.powerapps.com portal and then make sure you're in the right environment, of course. And then there should be this toggle here at the top right, try the new data experience. It is kind of funny because it defaults to off, and when it's off and you turn it back on, it's just changing a little bit of these texts here. But it does change the functionality behind it, so you do want it toggled on. And then from there, we can use this box here to describe the type of app that we want. And just my short time playing around with this, it is pretty finicky, so you just need to be, kind of clear and concise on what you want to do. So in this case, I'm going to do track time entries for projects and employees, and you can, if you've done this before, you can tell like this loading screen is new as well, which should tell you you're good to go. This is what I'm talking about. This has happened to me a few times now where this is not exactly what I want. It's giving me the employee, the project, but it's not giving me the time entry table. So let's see, track time entries for employees and projects, and we'll see if it doesn't do it right again. We might be able to try to fix it within the next screen. There we go. So this is what I was looking for. I don't know, I just slightly changed the phrase. Gives me a different result. So that's some of the finicky stuff. It is still in preview. So yeah, hopefully some of those kinks will get worked out, right? But as you can see, this is already way more powerful than before. It's going to give me 3 tables with relationships built in already. So our main table is our time entry, right? Like I want to submit, like, okay, I did 8 hours on this specific day for this project. But then we also want to relate it to my specific employee record and then the specific project I was working on versus just having a single table with no relationships, right? And then from here, you can kind of click into each one and see the type of data and properties it's going to make. So project, we have an ID, we have a name, a start date. Already I'm seeing that, we should probably, if we have a start date, we should probably want an end date, right? So we can come in here and add our own columns ourselves. We could also leverage the conversation on the right side to tell it to make changes as well. We'll look at the employee. So we got employee ID, name, email, department. That looks pretty good. And then time entry. We have the ID. We have the relationship to the employee, relationship to the project, the date for that time entry, and how many hours. So this all looks perfect. So from there, we can now click this Save and Open App. Done working. Yes, I'm done working. So now it's going to build the actual app for us, and it's also creating those tables behind the scenes as well. And what's really nice is it's actually putting in that data into those tables as well. So that data that when we were clicking on the tables, it provided like 5 records for each table. It's going to create that data as well, so we kind of have something to play around with within this app. All right, so we're back. It did take about 4 to 5 minutes for this to finally create this app and finish loading. So let's take a look. So the first thing we see, it does create this like welcome screen as kind of our main page with a section for each table it's creating. So we have the employees, the projects, the time entries. This is probably overkill for my scenario if I just want a simple time entry app. If I'm just an employee that's trying to enter my time, I don't care about managing employees, or I probably shouldn't even be allowed to. Projects, depending on my role, it might make sense for me to be able to like manage the projects, right? But the ultimate goal of this app is just to create the time entries. So in a real scenario, we're probably going to get rid of a lot of these screens here, which is fine. It gave us like a good starting point, right? Let's see what happens when we play it. It looks like, we can provide our own icons here, but if I tap on employees, now it's showing me all the employees. I can click each one. I can make updates. It looks like so I can click edit here or make all the changes, which this is probably good for some form of, maybe like it checks your role and it's like, okay, you're an admin, so now we'll add the employee screen, or you're a project manager, so we can show you the project screen. But there probably just needs to be some security around this, right? Because not everybody should be able to change employees or projects. But it's still good to have. It's a good starting point. I can leverage this. And if you're familiar with the old way, it isn't changing the app. The only difference in this generating this version of the app is that welcome screen, right? But this app right here is what it would always generate previously. So it's still giving us the same UI. It's still helpful. It's still a great starting point, right? Like here, if I did some hours today, right, I can come in here. This should probably be auto-generated, obviously. But like, okay, I did 4 hours today. It's for, this was interesting. It's not displaying the projects right, so we kind of have a bug there already. It is displaying the employees. The only downside is it probably should display the employee name and not their ID. And and then I can specify today's date, and then save it, and it should create that time entry. Oh, of course I need to, that bug's not going to let us do it. But as you can see, it's still buggy, but it is a really good starting point. But I would, still need to come in here and kind of fix this up a bit to get it to be exactly how I wanted. But overall, we've seen, in a short few months that they've made some big changes. So, and it's still in preview. They're not claiming that it's perfect, right? But it's definitely a good starting point, and I'm excited to see the more changes that Microsoft keeps making to it. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.